Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of The Arrangement, where we take a beat that we were working on into its final completion. Let's go. So what we're gonna do is we're diving back through the 2022 beats, July. Let's take a listen to the first beat. Like it. Well, I think it's safe to say we're gonna save this beat. So let's go ahead. Let's label, which I should have done this at the beginning. So obviously this is gonna be an intro. Let's just listen to you. So the big reason, if you build a beat and you give yourself a lot more room to kind of play with, a little bit more organization, there's not as much that you're probably going to need to do with the track. So far I'm listening to it, it doesn't really sound like it's going to need a whole lot of work. Hold on to my lead. That's going to be my intro. And then from intro, let's go into our bridge, and then I'll do that, insert audio. Verse, what's our tempo? 74. Let's hear where we're at now. So let's kind of space ourselves out. Nope. So it looks like right there, there. Hook. It's about right. So give myself an intro, then jumps into the bridge, and then into my verse, and then my hook starts right here. And what I noticed first thing is it's gonna need a nice little build up. Halfway through, about there. Save. Now, let's see. Now that's a tough one because it's clean, simple, it's got knock. Do you do much more to it than that? Maybe what we could do is switch this up. Add this together. Change our grid size. Let's bring those up. Maybe a cut. Yep. Quick, simple, easy arrangement. Like I said in the last video, you're just trying to give yourself a little bit of a break, some breath in there. Don't hesitate to cut stuff out, bring stuff back in. It's going to give you a lot more livelihood. I think at the end, we'll add an additional, but in this one, we'll get, well, I'm going to end with this. You know, this SFX is going to need a little bit more reverb, so we're going to go ahead, we're going to add ROM. Okay. So we added a little bit more reverb to our track. Honestly, I'm going to save it because I'm pretty happy with the way it sounds. I'm going to add in my track tag, turn the warp off.
This is production.
Okay. So now we're happy with the way the arrangement sounds. We're going to go ahead, we're going to move over into a quick mix. We're going to go to our kicks. And let's switch into our session. All right, it's right around -12 dB, which is where we want it. And let's jump over to our bass. Okay, that's good. Let's move over to our snaps. Scooch our claps next to each other. Okay, let's get back into this view. Let's drop it on a track. Let's go to our track tag, hold it, tab.
This is production.
Nice little quick mix. And then I like to put ozone onto the track. Here, isotope, ozone elements. Now again, Go to your master assistant, intensity. I like medium, streaming. And you want to play the loudest part of your track.
This is production.
Yeah, quick mix there. Shrink that down. Save it. Now in the last video, I went into a lot of different details about the process, what I was doing it, how I was doing it. I'm just kind of giving you guys a rundown of my workflow. Again, you can spend a little bit of time in your arrangement. You could spend a lot of time in your arrangement. There's so many different editing possibilities that you can do here. I like it nice and clean, but yet good enough where I could take it to an artist. They can listen to it, write to it, have a bridge, have a hook, have an intro, have a verse. Just a quick layout. Nice clean mix. Bring the levels back up. And that's just for listening purposes. You want to turn that master limiter off when you're recording. Put it back on afterwards. At least that's my preference. But now, organization. Always boils down to organization. So here, I got a file method system that goes Ableton, the year, the month, and then the folder. So this one, trap, and this BPM just needs to be 75 BPM. Then we're gonna have stems. Now, if you watched the last video as well, you know I like to save a lot of my drum kits. So what I do is I go over to user library, MIDI loops, hip hop MIDI loops. I separate by BPM. So this is gonna be a 75 BPM. And then I'm gonna add a new folder. This one, Trap Gods pack. Then I'm gonna drop in my 808s, drop in my kicks, claps. Now, if you're wondering why I do this, it's an easy method. So if I'm in a pinch and I'm really trying to add or change things or do different elements into a beat, I can just drag over from my kit, drop it in. Now I have the 808s that came from this pack. I have it on every one of my beats. It's just an easy method when I'm filling a little bit of beat block, and who knows, you might see me pull some of these out during the series, but just note, these were all made here and they can be repurposed later on in another track if need be. Now after that, we're gonna tab back over. We are going to master, we're gonna export. We're gonna do individual tracks, wave on, MP3s off, export. I'm gonna go Trap Gods. It's gonna be our stems. Now we're gonna bounce out our stems. And again, the reason why we bounce out our stems is if you wanna take them to a different DAW, whether it be Pro Tools or Cubase or whatever another studio might be using, or if you have a mixing engineer that you need to mix down your tracks, this is the fastest way to export to do that. Plus, it's nice to stay organized. That way, if anything happens, you lose a session, you lose a plugin or a drum kit or anything like that, you're keeping yourself organized, you're keeping yourself prepared. So in the event that the session doesn't load anymore, you have backup resources. Just throwing it out there. It's never a bad idea. Plus, if you're trying to get onto platforms like BeatStars or anything like that, if somebody purchases a beat and they give you the higher licensing, they're going to want to have access to the stems so their engineer can mix everything down when they're recording the track. It's just something, it's just good practice to do. Hence why we're doing it, because July 2022, it's time to start pushing these tracks out. Okay, so that's done. We turn Ozone back on. This time, I'm gonna highlight, export. We're gonna go master track, encode. I want the MP3 on. This one is gonna be, and now remember I have my track tag on in the beginning, so this is gonna be a tagged version. So I'm gonna save that. While that's saving, go back to our stems. Make sure to get rid of your reverb, delay, and that one, because that's a master track that plays the whole beat. You don't need that. Since we're doing, these should all be wave. Yep. Then you can send to, compress the folder. That's going to compress everything down. Just make it a smaller file size. Now we're going to do a muted version. Let's make sure the audio rendered right. This should be our untagged. So you have two different versions, one with a track tag, one without a track tag. Honestly, if somebody really wants to rip off your beat, they're gonna rip off your beat. But this is how you have method to tracking and just showing like, this is my creation from start to finish. You have your MIDI files, you have your waves, your stems, and then the last bit, I'm gonna show you my personal preference, which is freezing and flattening the tracks. So it takes less CPU to run, and you can start recording vocals in Ableton for your music production section. Now this part, what I like to do is exit out. And then I drop my session inside. I'm gonna open it back up. So we're gonna highlight all the tracks. Let's turn this one back on. And then we're gonna freeze the tracks. Now essentially, freezing the track is converting all of the information from MIDI to a standstill. And then when you flatten it, it fully converts it into wave. So you don't have to use plugins. I have some old tracks which I wish I had did this method on, where I had MIDI kits that I would use that I don't have anymore, or I moved them, and it's just like a nightmare trying to find the original kicks, snares, hi-hats, drum rolls, anything like that. If you know anything about, you know, doing everything track by track by track and then losing its source file, it's an absolute nightmare to try to track down. I mean, it'll give you clip names so you can go in and search it, but you're talking, would have been saved so much more time had I just did the method I'm showing you, as opposed to making the beat, stopping, coming back after a new computer install or a new hard drive install or anything like that. Pro tip, everything is frozen. Now we're gonna flatten it. So flatten track. This shouldn't take as long. So now if you pull down, you can see everything's converted to a wave. Now here's the kicker. Save live set as, Trap Gods, flattened. Save, and now you should have, and look at this, the CPU usage, 3%. It's all right, and then in my session file, boom, flattened, regular version. If I want to make any changes, everything's put together. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like, subscribe, smash the thumbs up button, all that fun stuff. And if you like this content, make sure to check out that video. And I'll have the beat posted up over on this side. You guys have a good night.